What's up? Hey, hello, everyone. Wow, so we are back in the dorm rooms today, or residence halls, we should say. Alyssa and I are back separated across the coast, and today we're going to be talking about Survivor season. Not really a season, Survivor Second Chance Dreamcast. So, players who have only played one time so far, and we want to see them play again. So, my name is Rachel.
And I'm Alyssa, and so the way we're going to be doing this is we start by saying all of the male players that we want to see, and then we'll read them off again as a list to you, and then we're going to go on to the female players. The first person I had on my list is Ribera from season 15, China, and he was just like such an annoying guy, and he was such a great character. And I just think that seeing him play again would be like really funny. But I also think he wouldn't get as far the second time just because he is kind of annoying. But I still think it would be funny to see him play again, especially like now with the game even more strategic. I feel like his strategy of like calling people out and wouldn't work out all well for him.
Oh no, yeah. So when we do our dream people who got voted out early that we want to see play again, I got some poker players in there who I'd want to see. So my first male, I had to start. So I'm going backwards of seasons, so starting with more recent seasons and going through. So my first second chance person is Neil from season 32. He was med-evac that season, and he was actually my winner pick for Co-Wrong. And if Caleb can come back for Game Changers having never gone to a tribal council, then SMH, I think Neil can come back for a second chance season. And I don't know, from what we saw of Neil during his time in the game, he played a good game, and I met Neil in real life, so we have to pick him. And Alyssa and I tried his ice cream, so shameless self promo, check out that video.
I still have nightmares about that ice cream. Anyways, my next pick for males was Dreams from season 14, Fiji. And I just think that Dreams got really far in that game, but I think he was kind of screwed over by the whole truck deal that he had. And personally, I think that was kind of blatant emotional manipulation deal for the truck thing. So I get that that's part of Survivor, but it was taking advantage of somebody's poverty is not cool. But anyways, it'd be interesting to especially away cars on Survivor anymore, so he wouldn't accidentally make the same mistake twice. Just he's a strong player who could come back.
Yeah, so my next one is LJ from season 28, Brains, Brawn, Beauty, Uno. And so, I don't know, I thought LJ, he was perceived as a patient, quiet guy, but then low-key he was really dangerous, and that's why he was blindsided. He found the hidden immunity idol without even getting the clue or anything. He just saw where Morgan was going, then he was let's go check out those places. And so LJ played the idol for Tony when Tony played the idol for him, and then they both didn't even need to play the idol. And so Tony thought LJ was a huge threat for winning the game, so Tony wanted to blindside him. And if Tony, being a great player as Tony is, thinking LJ is a threat, I think LJ could be a really good player to win the game if he played again, because he didn't get that far the first time, I guess, because he was such a big threat.
Yeah. So my next player was also from a Brains, Brawn, Beauty, but it was Brains, Brawn, Beauty 2. And I chose Nick from that season just because, I don't know, he was such a likable guy. I enjoyed all of his confessionals. Even if sometimes he could be a little bit of a douche, I enjoyed that about him. So I think that seeing him play again, especially outside of the whole Brains, Brawn, Beauty shtick, especially since the Beauties never went to tribal council, I feel like that would be interesting.
Alyssa knows how much I like Nick. Oh man, that season. But that would be interesting, the Neil-Nick power couple duo, seeing them back out there. That'd be sort of funny because they're really good friends now, and they're so funny, their tweets and everything. I love them. So, moving on, I have Hayden from season 27. He was on Blood vs. Water 1, where he was paired with Kat, who played on One World, and they're no longer dating. And Hayden also did play Big Brother, so sort of like Caleb, where he switches from, you know, reality TV show to reality TV show. And I don't know, I think Hayden, he was basically the one that convinced Sierra Easton to go to Rocks at that tribal council. And that was like a lit ass tribal where they're like all fighting. And I don't think Hayden gets enough like credit for his moves in this game. And like, I don't know, sometimes he's like forgotten about, or it's just like Sierra, the one who's voted out her mom, the one that made them go to Rocks. But I really feel like Hayden was the one to push Sierra to vote in the way she did, which made it go to Rocks. And, you know, I want to see Hayden play without Kat and not on a Blood versus Water season, because I think he's got a good head on his shoulders.
Yeah, I agree with that. So I also chose a Blood versus Water contestant, and I chose Wes Nail from season 29, Blood versus Water. And I just think it's interesting because his dad, Keith, got to come back. So I think it would be interesting to see Wes come back, because Keith got further the second time, I believe, than he did the first time. And I'd want to see if Wes could do the same thing, especially because Wes is younger and more physically fit and stuff like that. So I think it would be interesting to see how he did.
Yeah, so for my fourth pick, I have Kenny from season 17, which is Gabon. I think Kenny in Gabon, he had, you know, big moves. He eliminated threatening players. He was super close with Crystal, who I'll talk about later, but I felt like that was such like of an unlikely friendship, because, you know, Kenny's like a small Asian, and like Crystal is like a athlete, you know, super, super big and buff, and like you wouldn't expect this small skinny dude to like go far, and he is a professional video game player, so I think like that whole aspect helps him in the game of Survivor. And Kenny's so funny, like he had some funny confessionals, so I would want to see Kenny play again, and he hasn't played in a long time. Yeah.
So the last person I want to see as a guy who would play Survivor again is Jason Siska from season 16, Micronesia. And that was a fans versus favorite season. And I believe that the fans are like inherently at a disadvantage in those kinds of seasons. So I like seeing fans play again. And I wasn't really a fan of Eric coming back as a favorite in the second Fans versus Favorites after being a fan the first time. But I think it would be good for him to come back on just like a regular season, no theme, no nothing. Just because he's so stupid. Like, the stick. I think he would be a great kind of comic relief character. And maybe he learned something from his time on Micronesia. Like, not to believe that sticks are idols. So, yeah.
Yeah, so fans versus favorite seasons, like Alyssa saying, I don't know about my feelings toward it. Like, it's just sort of rigged towards the favorites because they've played, and you have all these, like, newbie goobers that don't know anything. So I'm really hoping season 36 isn't fans versus favorites 3. So rounding out the males, I put Shane Powers from season 12. And even though Shane in his Rob Has a podcast after the last second chance season, he was like, you know, I'm never going to play again, because Shane was on the ballot for second chance this past time, but he didn't make it on. He said he's never going to play again, but, you know, we can hope and pray. I don't know. I think it'd be cool maybe to see Shane on like a Blood versus Water with his son, because he talks about his son a lot, and I think that would be neat, like as a family kind of bonding experience. And Shane is just like so funny. He would be such good TV. And like even in season 12 and even now, like doing podcasts, like seeing him, like he has still got that like snarky kind of attitude. And you know, he doesn't take himself too seriously, but I think he knows how to play the game. So it'd be like really interesting to see like how time and age and like his kids growing up, like how that affects his gameplay. So
yeah,
that was
definitely,
that was all of the males. So my 5 were Neil, LJ, Hayden, Kenny, and Shane. And then Alyssa's 5 were Jean Robert, Dreams, Nick, Wes, and Jason. So females,
Females. So my first pick was Twila Tanner from season 9 Vanuatu, and that's mostly because I just want to see what Eliza Orleans would tweet about her, like as she was playing the game, because Eliza's tweets can be vicious, and like they had their whole rivalry thing, and honestly, I think she's another one of those people who's just like a character, so I'd want to see her play again. And again, she played a long time ago, so I'd want to see how she'd do 20 plus seasons later.
Yeah, so since I started my males with Neil as a med-evac, I'm starting my females with Jessica from this past season of Survivor Millennials versus Gen X, where she was rocked out of the game, so sort of like being med-evac, I guess. But Jessica now is very active on social media. She's pretty good at the game. I mean, Saved by David's idol pretty early, so she could have or would have been voted out pretty early in the game. But I don't know, I would want to see her play again, like without other people like saving her or like the bad luck of rocks. Even though these are aspects of the game, I think Jessica like next time should be like more decisive and then willing to like listen to the input of others while playing the game. So I think that'd be cool to play again.
Yes. So the next person I had on my list of people I'd like to see return is Gretchen Cordy from season 1, Borneo. And like she was like the person who I believe when Survivor was first airing, everyone thought that she was gonna win because she was like a legitimate survivalist in addition to like playing the game or whatever. And she was the first major blindside of the season. Of like the season and the show, just because they didn't even know how to blindside before they blindsided Gretchen. So I think it would be really cool to see like her and the whole like old school versus new school strategy thing, and like how over 30 seasons later she could hold up in the game.
Yeah, so my next one is RC from season 25, and she was like called to come back for the second chance voting season, but then she was like no, because like the whole Abby Maria thing, and like Abby was on the ballot for that season as well. And I don't know, I think RC would be good at the game. I would want to see her play again without like crazy Abby like messing things up. And I don't know, I think Abby was like super detrimental towards RC's game, sort of like in Second Chance, where with PG and Abby, like things just explode when you like talk with Abby or like get on the wrong foot like with her. So I don't know, I think it'd be interesting to see RC like clean slate. And I think RC would get pretty far, maybe sort of like a Kelly Wentworth coming back and playing again.
Yeah, I agree. So the next person I had on my list was Jeffra from season 28, Cagayan. Just because I feel like her main detrimental thing was that she was like indecisive in her move, like deciding whether or not she wanted to like help the Minority Alliance vote out Tony. And I think that having more experience in the game would help her to be more decisive and therefore a better player. So I just think it's one of those things where seeing them play now that they kind of understand the game a little more would be interesting.
Yeah, so third one for me, I'm saying Tosh from season 18, Tocantins. And I don't know, Tosh was sort of like Steven and JT's number 3 for like the second-ish half of the game, but it wasn't always like that way. And I don't know, Tosh, I keep saying that. Tosh was, I think, good at the game. You know, she made legit relationships. Steven and her found the idol together, and then Steven like hid the idol, so like technically it was his and whatnot. So you know, Tosh created this whole exile alliance with Brendan and brought in Steven and Sierra, and like low-key, like sometimes when I like rewatch Tocantins, I'm like, you know, maybe this time Brendan and Sierra will work with us, Tosh and Steven, and make this exile alliance happen. But then I'm like, nah, that won't happen because this already happened in the past. But like, I really want to see that happen. That would have been like so like cool in the season. And I don't know, I think Tosh is sort of like a Sari, maybe like someone you wouldn't expect to be good at the game, like to play the game like multiple times. So I think Tosh would be someone good to bring back.
I love Tosh, so I can't say no to that. So my next person is Alicia Rosa from season 24, One World. Mostly because, like, Kim Spradlin dominated that game, in my opinion. So I think that seeing anyone from One World play, like, outside of Kim's whole sphere of influence be interesting, especially because Alicia did show that she could be strategic. It's just that Kim outplayed her at pretty much every turn. So I just think it would be interesting.
Yeah. Or I forget her name. She was on the ballot for Second Chance also. She was also from One World. I forget now. That she would be good to come back for a second chance, I guess. So my next one is Crystal from season 17. Like I mentioned Kenny before. I don't know. I think Gabon is like a ratchet ass sort of season. It's usually like consistently ranked as like one of the worst seasons of Survivor, or Bob is ranked as like one of the worst winners of Survivor ever. But alas, I think Crystal is super snarky. She's a loudmouth. She did track in the Olympics, and I don't know, she'd be fun to see play again. Like we were saying before, I think Crystal is like a good character. She would be good TV, and to see like someone like Crystal interacting with Kenny and like Shane Powers, like that is some big personalities on this season. It'd be super, super funny to see like if their heads clash or anything.
Their heads butt or their personalities clash?
Yes, heads. I like
there.
to mix.
Okay.
Sabrina, that is it. Thank you, Trent.
Okay, Sabrina is the name of the person she could not remember, to clarify, from One World, who we'd also think would be good on a second chance season. Okay.
Yes.
My final girl is Hannah Shapiro from this past season, season 32, Millennials versus Gen X. And is it season 30? I can't remember numbers. Anyways, I like Hannah a lot as a person, and I think it would be interesting to see her play again, just because I think she really did grow a lot and learn a lot across the span of the season. So I think that seeing her play a second time would be interesting, though again, she's one of those players I think wouldn't do as well a second time, just because she did get to the final tribal her first time playing, so people might see her as a threat because of that.
Yeah, season 33.
Season 33. I can't do numbers. Oh my goodness.
So rounding out females, I have Natalie Bolton from season 16, Micronesia. And I think Natalie, I guess her claim to fame per se is getting Eric to give her the immunity necklace, and then all of the girls voting Eric out of the season. And I don't know, I feel like Natalie doesn't get enough credit, like in this season in general, but specifically this vote. Usually it's credited to like Sari and Parvati for like coming up with the idea and like bringing it about. But Natalie did have to talk with Eric one-on-one, like to talk about, you know, if you give me the necklace, Eric, like I will 100% vote Amanda. So Natalie had a lot to do with this plan as well. And, you know, she must have had good personal skills and like people skills to get along with the favorites. She was the last fan standing on the fans versus favorites season. So I think I want to see Natalie play again. Like, I'm surprised she hasn't come back yet.
Yeah, Rachel and I were talking about our picks before this podcast started, and we were both like, why hasn't Natalie played again? She's such a great player. So yeah, that rounds out the last of our girls. So Rachel, do you want to say all the girls that we picked?
Yee! So the females, we have Jessica, RC, Tosh, Crystal, Natalie, and then Alyssa's females were Twila, Gretchen, Jeffra, Alicia, and Hannah. So this is our 20 people that we would want to see on a dream second chance season.
Yes, so if you think that we've forgotten anyone, feel free to leave a comment. Tell us who we've forgotten and why you want to see them, because obviously we cannot remember everything yet. We're working on it.
Yeah, so Also, comment down below if next week you would either want to see another like DIY tutorial. We have our video of us trying to hold balls on sticks. We have that to post. Or if you would want to see a Survivor, like people who got voted out early that we want to see again, Dreamcast. Or if you have any Survivor Season 34 Game Changers videos that you want to see, comment those down below as well.
Yes, so thank you so much for liking, commenting, and subscribing. We recently hit 200 subscribers, and we're really stoked about that. So,
Yay.
yeah, keep watching, keep commenting, keep telling your friends, and we will see y'all next week.
Goodbye.
Bye.